Brigadier, that to be retired Brigadier General Olusegun Ajano. Thank you for joining us, because at this time it's a little solemn for a lot of people, and that's understandable because Leah has been in captivity for 2 years now. And you did hear what Mr. Gideon said. It was about a year since the president made that call to Leah's mother, assuring her that Leah will be found. The question now is, what do you think the delay is?
I didn't quite hear that.
What do you think the delay is?
What is the problem?
What is the delay? It's a year since the president said that Leah will be found, and up till now, she's still in captivity of Boko Haram.
Okay. The issue really is who kidnapped faceless characters. We started with the Boko Haram problem. We thought it was a local thing before it developed into a full-scale war. Apparently because the insurgents, the aim of the insurgents were not clear. By the time they started claiming areas under the former president, we knew that what we had in our hand was much more serious. Then within the body of the insurgents themselves, there is a split. One being led by al-Banawi, the other still being under Shekarau or so, who has been killed many times and then resurfaced. The issue here is that we need to be clear in our mind who we are dealing with. We are dealing with faceless people. So when we put the responsibility on the shoulders of the government, and of course there's no other person, there's no other body that can be held responsible. It is the government of the country. Then we want to look at the methods by which we can achieve our aim of freeing this girl. Don't forget, the same government has gone into negotiations with an identified body to free some detained people. So, when you look at it from these two sides, you will discover that one is easier to handle than the other. Because the insurgents are faceless people, it becomes extremely difficult for anybody, and I say it again, anybody to know who to approach.
Are you saying that the government doesn't know who has Leah Sharibu in their hands now?
You and I know that is the al-Banawi group, the splinter group from the main body of Boko Haram. We know. That's their name. Where are they? That is the question. Where are they? Who is fronting as the leader of the group that can be negotiated with? If that person had been identifiable since this incident happened, it would have been easier for the government to get a result.
But some people have, said over and over again that they have interfaces. They could identify individuals that interface with these people. In fact, we interviewed a man recently who said that some members of his family are part of these groups.
Members of which family?
Of his own family are part of these groups. And of course, he is someone that is very well known to government.
I'm sorry, I cannot be party to saying an individual has claimed to be part of the group. The issue is when you're dealing with faceless bodies of this nature, you have to go underground. There are people who are paid and are in service as secret service personnel. They are there. The various security organizations have their intelligence branches. They are there. There is a national defense security outfit. They are there. If you remember, the 100 and something Chibok girls that were freed, who did it? This same government. How did they do it? They went through some other international organizations. I think it was the International Red Cross, things like that, that were able to negotiate their freedom. So I like to be fair to all sides. On my side, on your side, what we would like to see is Leah Sharibu freed.
What do you think is responsible for her still being held now?
At the moment, I am not in government, but I would like to assume that the federal government of Nigeria is doing everything possible, including talking to any international organization that can reach these characters, to identify them, to know who and where Leah Sharibu is held, to enable them to have meaningful negotiation and procure her freedom. That's my belief, because that is the responsibility of any responsible government.
While the government, while you believe that the government may be trying to reach out to international organizations who can help to get the release of Leah Sharibu, the parents and people within her friends, as a matter of fact, they sang songs yesterday in remembrance of her birthday. And you did hear Mr. Gideon in our Abuja studios also tell him out that he took this initiative to be part of it from the outcry that has come out to this point. Is the government not aware of the depth of concern with regards to Leah Sharibu, such that it will push further beyond what they have done, beyond what their scope is? Because if you do remember, even the other groups that are crying for this release have said time and again that the government may just not be doing enough.
I find it difficult to come to a conclusion that the government is doing enough or not doing enough, because whatever steps the government is taking is not open to the public. And you can understand why. Things of this nature are of sensitive character, that any information you let out to the public can be used by sympathizers of even the rebels to sort of make things more difficult for the government. And in any case, let us also look at the angle. Why would the splinter Boko Haram group hold Leah Sharibu, a single person, compared to her colleagues, about 105 of them that were initially released? Definitely, they are holding her to negotiate and probably press out more money out of government purse. That's my candid belief.
Do you also believe that Leah is well and healthy today?
That is going to be difficult for me to to say. Since we don't even know where she is, we don't know her position, we don't know her health status, how can anybody say, she's well? I'm not going to, I won't say that. And I believe that the government itself, even while actively involved in the negotiation to get her out, cannot vouch and say, yes, we are sure that she's okay. If they have been able to locate the people who are in touch with the Al-Banawi section of the Boko Haram people that are holding her, and those people confirm to them that she's well, I think, yes, they will be able to say that. But at the moment, Leah Sharibu is somewhere. Anything anybody says is going to be a guess in terms of her physical status.
As a security consultant, sir, do you think it is possible to appeal to the humanity of the abductors of Leah Sharibu and others?
Please say again.
Do you think it is possible as a security consultant, to appeal, from a negotiation angle, to the humanity of the abductors of these girls?
I'm sure it is an angle that the government might have explored. The people they are talking with, the people the government is talking with, and are in touch with these rebels, definitely the human angle of it must have been fully explained to them. The government is not giving any threat or issuing any form of ultimatum or threat to the people. As far as the government is concerned, we cannot tolerate insurgency on our ground. So military action is continuing. And it is going on even as we are speaking here. But over and above that, whatever it's going to take to get Leah Sharibu released, I'm sure the government is not going to hold back.
Unfortunately, sir, this is an issue we are tackling now, and several others are continuing on an almost daily basis in Zamfara State. One of the emirs said that they pay ransom on a daily basis to bandits. How do we curtail all these challenges?
The Zamfara end is another ball game. It started with robbery, cattle rustling. Because of the complications we have in our society, because whatever happens in any situation in our country here, some people are there on underground trying to make a gain out of it. Unfortunately, there in Zamfara State, I have seen one of the honorables from that very particular area get up in the Senate to say that they know those who are behind, but they dare not mention names. What do you say to that?
Exactly the point I made earlier. Exactly the point.
You
so
see,
we know who they are, so what's holding us back?
So the issue is this. I, as an individual, if I know something, and I know that if I give that information, it will help the authorities to apprehend those who are responsible and probably to do a better fight in freeing the society, I would personally decide the level of risk I'm prepared to take to cooperate with the law enforcement agents. A senator did it. He got up there. He said it openly. I saw the clip on my phone. And you see, it is all too easy to throw it at the government, because that is the only way that we can possibly do something. And when we throw it at the government, we need to give them the chance, we need to give them the cooperation to be able to do it. In Zamfara, I know that the federal government has even gone to the extent of calling in international bodies. And I think 1 or 2 days ago, they went to discussions on intelligence gathering. Because if you see some clips about this operation in Zamfara area, you see that there are a number of hopeless characters riding on motorcycle, 1 or 2 motorcycles, to about 20 of them or something like that.
You know, when you look at Sharibu's case,
yes,
and then you look at the so many faces, as you put it, of insecurity that we're currently facing in the country, call it banditry, call it kidnappings, call it cattle rustling, insurgency in the northeast, and what have you. Are we approaching these security concerns in the right manner in the first place?
Are we approaching
the security concerns that we're facing? Are we facing them and approaching them in the right manner?
I believe it is the responsibility of government. That is why we have the armed forces. That is why we have the plethora of intelligence bodies trying to get information. In Zamfara, for example, I know that they're trying to heighten the intelligence to be able to pinpoint where these bandits congregate. Because they plan, they get themselves together before they move into the various villages to rustle the cows, to kidnap and to do all sorts of things. And I'm sure by the time they come up with solid information, actions will start. In respect of Leah Sharibu, because I have thought of it far too many times. What else would the government do? If the government is able to locate anybody, either within Nigeria or outside Nigeria, who can pinpoint exactly where Leah Sharibu is, including using the armed forces, the government will do it and free her today.
But you have all these crimes. You also have all these crimes that we are contending with. What the government did at the instance when the insurgency was getting very high was to release 1 billion of the ECA money to fight this crime. But it seems to have degenerated even further. Is it that we're not channeling the money in the right places? What's going on? $1 billion, probably the people who submitted the requirements itemized what they needed. And I believe it must have come from the armed forces, those who are responsible for actually carrying out the government's aim. They must have given the government the list. From that point of view, I cannot say whether money has been diverted to anywhere unless we have evidence to that effect. I believe what the money was released for was probably purchased or used for that purpose. I'm not even sure what. We're not seeing the impact yet.
You see?
Oh, are we still expecting the impact?
Definitely, the impact may likely come. So far, what we have in the country at the moment is that there are far too many areas of problems, insecurity in our country. And I don't envy the government at the moment. It is a very big task. Even if you deploy the whole of the Nigerian police in Zamfara state, how much would they get? And I believe what happened just about 2 days ago in terms of sharpening the intelligence gathering mechanism, I think it's a step in the right direction. Once we are getting results from that, the fighting forces will be better focused and they will be able to know where to approach and hit at these characters.
That's a good place to let it
yes.
rest.
You see,
Brigadier General Olusegun Ajano, I'm afraid that we're out of time and we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us. Always a pleasure having you discuss with us.
Thank you.